Happy New Year. It is Brandon from B Loves a Love, and I'm at my son's soccer practice, which is when I'm able to do these videos. I hope that your 2025 has started off well. Mine was okay until it started to snow the day before my kids were supposed to go back for school after winter break, and then they were home for 4 days. So this is a Friday when I'm recording this, and they finally went back. 2-hour delay, but they went back for a full day of school, so I'm thankful for that. How did your reading go in 2024? Mine actually did very well. I think I had mentioned before how I did a whole lot of novellas, which saved me. Excuse me. Otherwise, I don't think I would have done as well. And I did a good number of rereads, which I do every year. But again, I noted in the past as well that Goodreads is not making it very logical, at least to me, on how to document rereads. Before, I used to be able to put in additional dates, and now I don't see that as an option. But I started this year, I'm still reading the same book that I ended 2024 with. It's a Beverly Jenkins book. It's not one of her historicals, it's one of the contemporary ones. This is, I want to say it's The Edge of Midnight. And it was slow going for me for a while. I think simply because I just wasn't in the mood to read. The kids were home and it was just busy. And I did probably too much scrolling on Instagram, to be fair. I did. It was ridiculous enough to where my husband was like, "Are you okay?" Because it just seems like you're sitting up in the room scrolling, which is fair because I was. But it also was a place for me to hide away from everyone else and get some quiet. So I think one of my goals for 2025 that's not reading related is I'm going to, along with some financial goals, which is not to do a lot of ad hoc spending, it's also going to be to limit my scrolling. And I think the only way for me to do that is to put a time limit on it, because it is shocking how much time I can go in these rabbit holes of just nonsense. Now, my algorithm is awesome. I have a whole lot of fun stuff and weird stuff, and the internet seems intent on me knowing how dangerous it is to go to Australia. And so I get a lot of those weird videos of ginormous spiders and kangaroos that could beat your ass. So that is in my algorithm, which is kind of awesome. But then also, it's just mindless. I don't need it. I have other goals that I want to accomplish, especially by the end of January, that would be done if I was spending more time on those things instead of spending time scrolling. So anywho, for the Beverly Jenkins book, I'm almost done. I should be done by the end of this weekend, and then I'll be able to put that review up on my Instagram page. I went a little bit more books for 2025. I think for 2024 I had 40 books, and that was really because 2023 was a crappy reading year. I read way more than that, but again, I would say more than half, but I think I ended up with over 100 books. More than half of those were novellas. But I don't think I'm going to do the same this year. I'm going to really try to I'm not going to limit and say no novellas, because there are some good ones. I was reading some very strange ones, and I don't think I want to do that to myself anymore. So I'm going to continue finding new authors. I'm still reading a lot of fantasy, but I've also have been exposed more to young Black authors who aren't just doing the fantasy stuff, but are also doing just like the straight typical romance, and not even like the hood romance, but just like traditional romance. So actually, I'm not going to say traditional because I don't know if it's traditional, but just romance books. So I'm looking forward to introducing myself to some new authors, introducing you to some new ones if I find some good ones, and just continuing to focus on romance. I know I've been asked in the past, I know you read romance, but do you read other stuff? And I'm like, well, not really. Like, I read magazines, but the magazines are usually home magazines. I'm educated on things. I just don't necessarily read books about them. So my husband reads a lot of nonfiction, so things about the world and basically the hell that we're in, and giving historical context, like why we are in the situations that we are based off of history and basically it repeating itself. So I could read those. It's just, one, most of those books, I'm not going to say all, the books that he has, I wouldn't buy again on Kindle because I typically just read on my e-reader. I've gotten out of the habit of reading hard books, hardcover books, like real tangible in my hand books. So I think just the idea of carrying around a book, it is completely ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous and illogical. But that is really like my thing. I don't want to carry around a book. But I'm also aware that there are a lot of good books that I'm missing out on because they're either, one, not romance, two, I don't feel like e-reading them. I might actually get into Audible. That might be a good way for me to read these books. I do a lot of podcasts. So if I'm not reading, especially during the workday, I'm listening to podcasts. They're not romance related. I have some that are romance related, but for the most part, it's mainly like pop culture type stuff. But that could be a way for me to read these books without having to carry something around. So that's something I can look into for 2025. I think I might do that because I think I have some Audible credits that I could use and see if any of these books would qualify for that. Anywho, I hope that you have a goal for 2025. I hope that is a goal that you are excited about achieving, that you have some ideas for which books you can read to get to that goal. There are a lot of good books coming out this year. I'm waiting with bated breath for the new Kennedy Ryan book, the third book in her series that now I can't remember. But you all know it's the covers that have the beautiful black woman with the beautiful hair. It's stunning. It is stunning covers. Chef's kiss. So yeah, I hope that you are having or will have a good reading year. I'll pop in every now and again just to check in and see how you're doing. All right, talk to you soon.